もうダメ。まさかこんなことになるなんて。
まったくこれで一味が全滅じゃシャレにならねえぞ。
今は少しでも体力を温存するんだ。
頼むぞルフィ。
不安。
Hello everyone, Skippy here, and welcome to One Piece episode 907, a celebration of a huge milestone for the anime directed by co-series director Kohei Kureta and supervised by Hirotaka Ito and Eisaku Inoue. As of this video, the One Piece TV anime is now 20 years old, and to celebrate, the anime is adapting the second of two one-shot chapters, both titled Romance Dawn, that served as Oda's pilot chapters of sorts for what would eventually become the best-selling manga in the world, One Piece. The first one-shot was very loosely adapted into an OVA all the way back in 2008 for the Jump Super Anime Tour, directed by Katsui Tokoro with character designs and chief supervision from Masahiro Shimanuki, but this special episode of the anime seems to be adapting its original one-shot one-for-one, rather than basing the story in modern times like the 2008 OVA, making it quite a bit more interesting because of how they may adapt the original chapter. With such very promising staff at the helm of such an episode, and character designs from our chief animation supervisor Keiichi Ichikawa that bring a bit of a modern twist to Oda's more rubber hose looking early art, it feels like this slight celebrational detour from the Wano arc will actually end up being quite the quality episode, serving as a bit of a what if for if the entire series actually ended up going this route. So will episode 907 end up being a fun and harmless celebration of the anime's 20th anniversary, or will it join the Stampede filler arc as another annoying interruption from Wano? Well, gather up all of your hopes and dreams, and let's find out. This episode, of course, covered all of the original Romance Dawn one-shot, and it follows it pretty damn closely, give or take a few small changes. There's a bit of filler with Luffy trying to secure his boat, and Anne trying to rescue Balloon before fighting some of the ship's crew, as well as some small adaptation changes like Spiel throwing his crew member off the ship after failing instead of burning him to death, and some filler fighting in place of Luffy attacking Spiel on the ship, but the episode is otherwise pretty focused on being accurate to the original one-shot, despite choosing to modernize the art in places, which makes it so a lot of the expressions that the original one-shot was chock full of aren't there. Sure, it is a little sad that some really cool expressions that were cartoony and great were changed in order to find a middleman between classic and modern Oda, but they still managed to make a competent episode that still honors the original chapter despite these changes. This episode's storyboard is definitely one worth bearing the co-series director Kohei Kureta's name, with the episode being full of really well-composed shots that have such style and finesse added to them that are made even better thanks to Kureta's great compositing choices and absolute love of speed lines. Even the smallest of shots are able to stand out thanks to Kureta's slew of cool angles, and when combined with his ability to storyboard some really cool action scenes that give you a really nice sense of scale, you get this really vivid look for the entire duration of the episode that stands out amongst a lot of the other episodes of the anime despite not being too different from them in some ways. While I do wish that some of the cool layouts from the manga were done a bit better just because of how good Oda's original art was, I can say for certain that Kureta's board is one that does the original one-shot justice while also showing that it too has a few tricks up its sleeve. Despite Inoue and Ito's corrections still being very much so visible in the respective sections of the episode, our chief supervisor Ichikawa cleans up a large majority of it and makes himself the real face of it, which makes sense given that he supplied the character designs for the special. However, the main highlight of this episode animation-wise still manages to shine through despite that, with Yoshikazu Tomita doing a couple super nice cuts of action and character acting all throughout the episode. Whether it be Anne's sword fight with Spiel's crew member or Luffy's Luffy dealing the final blow to the funky-looking freak, Tomita's mech-like movement and ability to create wild action is on full display here, with every single cut having so much flair and liveliness despite the mech-based movement. Tomita packs both of his major scenes with so much life and character that's unmatched by any other staff member on the show, with his usual risque bodies that he gives to the women that he draws not being lost on the way to the special. He's been gone for quite a number of weeks during the first major action pieces of the Wano arc, so it's great to see him return with his standout ability to animate an insane amount of cuts that has made fans all over the world adore him. All in all though, he's really the only animation highlight here, with the rest of it being animated about as well as your average modern One Piece episode. Now that's not a bad thing, mind you, especially when Tomita himself animated most of the action and important scenes that the one-shot had to offer, but it makes it so we end up with an overall short but sweet breakdown this week, which is also how I describe this episode as a whole. While the episode itself isn't some huge statement about the 20 years of the One Piece anime, it's still a very brief but fun little side quest from the current major arc that reminds me of just how fun early One Piece was, which is really all that I could ask for from an anniversary episode of this caliber. But if there's a chance that you didn't enjoy the episode at all, then there's no need to fret as we jump right back into the Wano arc next week with an episode from director Yutaka Nakashima and supervisor Toshio Deguchi. While the episode itself looks a tad bit off art-wise, no doubt due in part to Deguchi's speed, it looks to be opening up the gates for the crazy rising action that we're about to get in Act 1. So hopefully it'll be a decent episode at the very least. Anyways guys, that's it for now. I'm Skippy, and I still don't really know if I'm used to Pirate Garp or not.